Hey everyone, it is your favorite CEO, Miss Flo, and welcome to another episode of Neon Mike, where the conversation just flows. I'm here on the third day of AwesomeCon here at the Walter E. Convention Center in Washington, D.C. And, I love the video game room, not just for the classic arcade games, that nostalgia feeling, but you also get an opportunity to explore new games, indie games that are in development and that's in the work that's coming out. And I have stumbled across this wonderful creator. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Kristen. I am the owner and lead designer behind Lycan Labs. I am currently developing a game called Fleshwalk.
And I had a chance to play a little bit yesterday, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool the way it looks. If you're a fan of like first-person shooter, then this is something you would definitely be comfortable with. But I think it's like what really grabbed my attention was the design of the game. Mm-hmm. You told me that you used your face for the game, but not in the way that you would think. Like you would think like, oh, like you made yourself a character in the game. You made yourself the landscape of the game.
I did. So when you play Fleshwalk, something that I actually did with the design of it was I took a scan of my face and I turned it into a material, which then I built into the terrain. So all of the mountains and caves that you see, all of that is actually the skin of my face. So the name Fleshwalk is actually very literal. You are walking on flesh.
And what made you come up with that? Like, how did, what signal from the creative gods gave you this idea to do it?
So there are actually a lot of interesting inspirations for why I chose to do that. So Fleshwalk in particular came about because I have been facing some hormonal issues over the past couple of years, and something that I really wanted to do with it was make it into something empowering. When you go through health issues that are kind of unexpected, it can feel really disempowering. Obviously, you're sick. And the way I know how to do that is to turn it into a creative project. I'm a game designer. I go to school for it. I'm doing my MFA, if that tells you anything.
Oh, where do you go to school?
I go to school at American University in Tenleytown, D.C. So I really just like weird, quirky game projects. So the first thought I had of, I need to make something positive out of this experience was turning it into a game. Other inspirations, one of my biggest ones for it being kind of a horror game actually, was the poem Harlem by Langston Hughes. It's one of my favorite poems. I have heard about it obviously throughout my life. It's probably his most famous poem, but it really resonated with me last year when I was at the height of my health issues, and the very visceral language he uses in that poem about describing how, what happens when a dream is deferred, almost felt like horror. It felt like I was reading a horror novel or playing a horror game. And that was actually the main inspiration for Fleshwalk. A lot of outside of even this, the terrain, a lot of the enemies are directly reflective and symbolic of a lot of just certain aspects of my life, or disability more broadly. And the dream aspect from the poem is also something that I try to reflect in the game. So it's part my life and also part my interpretation of that poem in some ways.
That's fascinating. Never would I thought that you can connect the game to a Langston Hughes poem.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of brilliant.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that, because sometimes when people are, hit with a health concern or health issues, it sends you to a dark place, right? And it's just you don't know how to manage it, or if things will get better, or you know what I mean? So there's a lot of uncertainties that happen with it. But I'm glad that you were able to turn a negative into a positive. This is art.
Thank you.
It's so different. So really quickly, if you can tell me, what's the objective of the game?
So the objective of the game is actually more narrative-based. So something I try to balance with the genres is the kind of fast-paced boomer shooter aspect with a more slow, kind of rhythmic, Souls-like gameplay. Synergizing those has proven to be a little bit difficult, but I think they both serve really well to how I go about the narrative. So I try not to say anything super explicitly throughout the game, which is why the subtitle is an experience. I want people to really experience it without a lot of kind of reading, or I don't necessarily want to say hand-holding, but more prescriptive labeling. I want them to kind of take from it what they want to take from it and kind of see more metaphorically what I'm trying to relay to them. So in kind of like game design speak, some terms for that would be like ludonarrative or procedural rhetoric. It's kind of storytelling through gameplay.
Got it. So it's like they're free to explore. Mm-hmm. They don't have to like be restricted or confined to like the traditional game rules. It's just like, they could just like go on their own. Mm-hmm. So I mean, the game is like pretty gnarly. It's pretty like you're kind of walking on you're walking on your face.
Yeah.
And you have to defend yourself through like I just encountered. I didn't go too far because I got wiped out pretty quickly. But it's like you're basically against eyeballs, and they're not just walking about. Like they're coming at you. Like they're firing and shooting at you. Like it's pretty intense. So how many levels there are to the game, and then like what other I guess antagonists or combatants do you face in the game?
Yeah, certainly. So something that makes it a little bit different than other boomer shooters is it doesn't really have set levels. It's a little more open world. So it's kind of one big terrain or map that the player gets to explore. There are kind of ways I lead them into going into certain areas. Some of the other enemies include, so the first one, eyeball enemy, are the Zloko. There's another enemy called vignettes, which are little scribbles on the ground. And there are also tooth mites, which are basically just molars that kind of ram into you. There also is a boss fight, a pretty big boss fight that you will get to once you defeat all of the enemies and get through the terrain. That is not currently in the demo and will be something I will have released in September of this year.
Oh, okay. So it's still a work in progress. You're still building it out.
Yeah.
Once you release it in September, like what platforms can we find it on?
So currently it will be released for PC, Mac, and Linux through itch.io as well as Steam. I really hope to get a Switch 2 port because the Switch 2 got announced recently. And that's probably something I would be doing next year for a full release in June.
Nice. That's pretty awesome. So if to get all the updates on the progress of the game, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I have a website for Fleshwalk, fleshwalk.likenlabs.xyz. I also do have an Instagram that is pretty active at Lycan Labs Games, and a Blue Sky at likenlabs.bsky.social.
Nice.
So those are kind of the main places you can find me at. I also do have an email if anyone would like to reach out with questions.
Nice. And then what advice do you have for upcoming game developers?
That is a great question. If you're an up-and-coming game developer, something I really try to focus on is, even going back to the poem Harlem by Langston Hughes, is to not defer your dreams. I think if game development is something you're passionate about, I know the industry is tanking currently. There have been a lot of layoffs, a lot of sexual harassment cases, things that kind of make things seem really uncertain, but I really do want to empower anyone to get into game development because it is such a great way to artistically express yourself that I think is kind of underrepresented. And going along with that, I am always trying to empower disenfranchised individuals into getting into games because I think it's a really cool way to connect with community. Even just being here at AwesomeCon has been fantastic to speak to everyone here, whether they're from this area or just visiting for the con. So if it's something you're passionate about, please try it out. Don't give up. There are ways that I think you'll be able to fit it into your life, even if it's not working at a AAA company.
Nice. And that's like a great way to end this episode because, again, thank you again for speaking with me today.
Thank you.
And then I hope all the success with your game. I can't wait till it comes out. And yeah, see how you guys grow from that conversation. I'm going to catch you guys next time. All right. Bye.